What's up, y'all? It's Jen. Welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. This week we kept it super budget friendly, but these meals are full of flavor, y'all. If you're new here, you will find that anything I make for my family is easy with minimal ingredients. I am a busy mom of two, so my time is spread super thin. If you are feeling like, hey, me too, and you haven't subscribed yet, why don't you go on and do that now? Pull up a chair and stay a while. Well, let's get to cooking, y'all. Hope you enjoy. All right, y'all, tonight for dinner we are having 7-can taco soup. And what a perfect night to have it because it's raining and kind of chilly outside, so I cannot wait to dig into this. So what I have here is about a breast and a half worth of chicken that I have cooked in my Instant Pot, and then I shredded it up in my KitchenAid mixer. But normally you would use just like 1 can of shredded chicken that you can buy already shredded. And then you'll need a 1 can of chicken broth here. You need 10 ounces of green enchilada sauce, but this was the smallest can that they had, which is like 28 ounces. So I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with that to preserve the rest of it. You'll need a 1 can of corn. You need some taco seasoning here. I've already used half of this because usually if I use a taco seasoning packet, I will use about half of it. So we're gonna use the other half in that so it doesn't make it as spicy. And then I didn't have any petite diced tomatoes, so I'm gonna have to use these. I guess this is more like Rotel kinda. It has green chilies in it, so I hope that doesn't make it too spicy. Then you will need a can of pinto beans, a can of black beans, and I will rinse and drain those. And then you need a half a teaspoon of these 3 fellers right here. I've got ground cumin, chili powder, and garlic powder. So the only thing you do really is just open up all these cans, dump everything in a large pot, and just allow it to kind of heat through. Everything's already cooked. So yeah, and then dinner's served. So I'm gonna get on to that, guys. Just a little side note here, guys. The diced tomatoes with the chilies was definitely not the same as a can of diced tomatoes in tomato juice. So I would recommend definitely making sure you have the diced tomatoes when you make this soup. I will leave the particular recipe that I use for this soup linked down in my description box for you guys if you decide you want to make it for your family. As I mentioned earlier, I'm just taking all of the ingredients for this soup, dumping it in the pot and heating it through, and you guys, dinner is ready. How could anything be easier? But I just want to let you guys know, if you're not ready to eat right away, you can let this just kind of hang out on your stovetop and keep it on warm, or put it in your crock pot. That is totally an option as well. This was definitely a go-to for us. We love this recipe. I think y'all will like it too. Now, what kind of Southern mama would I be if I didn't throw some Pintos in the crock pot every once in a while? You guys, I'm sitting here going through these Pintos because that's what my mama always told me to do. I did pay attention to some things, looking for little pebbles or rocks or things that don't belong in here because, you know, these Pintos just come up out of the earth. You ain't no telling what you might find. I didn't find any rocks though. So I am also including northern beans in my Pintos. I just like the mixed bean look. It definitely tastes a lot better to me that way for some reason. Don't know, it might be all in my head. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and parboil these pintos, and you will see why whenever I empty out this pot, why I do this. Now, typically, guys, I would usually put my pintos on the night before and just let them cook in my crock pot on low all night and on low the next day. Look at that dirty water. Yeah, isn't that gross? Yuck, all that dirt. So anyway, we're just getting that dirt off. But anyway, what I was saying is... I did not do that this time. I tried to think that it was going to be okay to put the pintos on early on this morning. Well, let me just tell you, they didn't get done in time. I had to pop them in my Instant Pot to get them finished up. All right. Anyway, learn from my mistake. I'm putting a whole onion in here. I don't cut my onion up because my family does not like onion, and it's just easier to remove after it has cooked. Also, I found this country ham for seasoning, is what the packages called it. And I'm going to throw that in here as well. And my dad said that I probably should rinse it off before I put it in there to get some of the salt off of it. But you guys, I think it would have totally been fine because I ended up having to add salt anyway. And then next, I'm going to go ahead and add in 1 can of beef broth. After that, I'm just going to fill my crock pot to the top with water. Put the lid on, and it's ready to go. This is my mama's old cast iron skillet that it's one of my prized possessions. I'm going to go ahead and throw some cornbread in that because what would pintos be without cornbread? And I am using the recipe on the back of this Tender Bake cornmeal mix bag here. And it's just the cornmeal mix, 1 egg, I think a 1/2 cup of milk, and 1/4 of a cup of vegetable oil. You mix that all up, and the reason that I was showing you the cast iron skillet, I got sidetracked, was because I always leave that in the oven while my oven is preheating. That helps the cornbread to not stick to the cast iron skillet. Don't know what the secret is there, but it never sticks. All right, now I'm just going to throw that in the oven and let that get done. I think it takes about 25 minutes or so. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some potatoes, and we are going to fry potatoes with our pintos. All right, the cornbread is done and it's coming out of the oven. If you look around the edges right there, you'll see where there's a little separation. That's how you know it's done. And here's my plate. And that's how I eat my pintos. Cornbread on bottom, onions on top, salt and pepper, and boom. So delicious. So it had been quite a while since we had had breakfast for dinner around here. So we decided that that was what we were going to have this night. For those of you who are not in the North Carolina area, you are going to be wondering what in the world this slab of meat is. I don't even know. Don't ask me. But it's called liver mush. And we'll just leave it at that. I'm going to throw this in my pan here and fry it up. This is a really good breakfast meat around my parts. And you can also eat it raw on bread with mayonnaise. People have done that. I'm thinking that back in the day when rations were thin, that you just ate what you could get a hold of. And for some reason or another, liver mush just stuck. Also, I am channeling my inner Waffle House here and making some good old hash browns in my pan. I wish I could make them as good as Waffle House, but I guess I'll just never be that good. My husband had requested that I smother, cover, and cap his, but I told him, I'm sorry, I just cannot handle that request tonight, sir. But I did put them some cheese on there, and they were good enough with that. Now we are going to go ahead and fry up some eggs. I am the only one in my house that likes, like, I guess you call it sunny side up or over medium. I don't really like my whites to be runny. I like the yellows to be runny so I can dip my toast in it. But the boys do not like that, so you will see I will bust their yellow and cook it all the way through. I'm not even going to tell you guys how long it took me to master that flipping of the egg. All right, you guys, and breakfast/dinner is served. How many more of my friends likes breakfast for dinner? Let me know in the comments. This last meal I'm sharing with y'all is so easy, it is ridiculous. My neighbor told me about this quite a few years ago, and it is a go-to around here when we don't know what else we want. So here I have 2 large chicken breasts cut in half and 1 can of cream of celery. If you don't like cream of celery, you could totally use cream of chicken. It is just as good. I'm going to empty that can on there to the chicken, and then next I'm going to pepper the top really good. And then I'm going to go ahead and move the chicken around to make sure that the soup gets up underneath real well. And I usually cover and cook my chicken on high for 4 to 5 hours, depending on how large the breasts are that I'm cooking. For a side, we had rice and roasted broccoli, and this dinner was so good, you guys. All right, my friends, that is going to wrap it up for this week's What's for Dinner video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Let me know down in the comments below if you decide to make any of these delicious meals for your family. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, keep them fed.